Quick disclaimer, I'm only looking at the standard issue plates for each state. If I included specialty plates, this video would be 4 hours long. And while it'd be infinitely funny and worth your time, that's just too good of content for YouTube. Let's get started. Well, shit. This might be harder than I thought. This is a damn good start, I'm not gonna lie. Alabama finally did something good in life, although it maybe only half counts because they're first on this list thanks to the alphabet, which is a concept most native Alabamans continually have trouble grasping even into late adulthood. Standing out and receiving high praise for being first on a list is a huge contrast from the norm of Alabama consistently ranking in the bottom 10 states on nearly every important metric. Try not to squander this opportunity, Alabama, because unlike your cultural views on race mixing, your use of color here is exceptional. Well, that's pretty fucking presumptuous, Alaska. Calling yourself the last frontier when there's God knows how many more dangerous and harsher mountain ranges on Earth we haven't even fully explored. How about all those cave networks that are barely big enough for people to get through? And what about the entirety of the deep ocean that we haven't even mapped? How about space? I've watched Star Trek to know space will always be the final or last frontier. And I've seen enough piss in my life to know your flag's color reminds me of it. You need to drink more water, Alaska, so maybe you can help dilute your pompous and arrogant thought patterns. Arizona really can't stop boasting about the fact that they're home to America's vagina. Maybe one day it'll give birth to a state with more than that to it, but for now, why don't you take your fork-looking cactuses here and use them to eat up the idea of talking about something else for once in your goddamn life? Diamonds from top to bottom are a scam. They're worthless, overpriced rocks that are only a successful product because most people align them with wealth and love thanks to aggressive marketing tactics and strong cultural association. Diamonds are a perfect metaphor for Arkansas's license plate. A uselessly boring piece of shit that only impresses people who fall for say-nothing word-of-mouth slogans or who are easily impressed. I'll say it again. What the fuck does the natural state mean? Except nothing. Wow. I didn't think things could get even more boring. What a wimpy piece of shit, huh? Was any sort of color or design too expensive for you to afford, California? I understand 99% of your budget is going towards figuring out how the fuck you're gonna make anyone happy in an overcrowded, overpolluted, melting desert hellhole of frivolous complaints and car traffic, but could you at least spare a couple bucks to go beyond our Secretary Dolores signed this one, isn't it pretty? Oh, we don't want to mess up her handwriting, it's so lovely. While I'm normally a fan of black and white high contrast works of art, your cocaine mountains here aren't exactly inspiring. Besides, that'd be more accurate to Florida if it wasn't as flat as the tits on the current wave of anime waifus. I appreciate the minimal design and aesthetic, it looks pretty good, but it also gives off the depressing vibe of winter's right around the corner to butt fuck you no matter how good your day is going. God damn it, Connecticut. You are 3 for 3 on blue backgrounds with generic template designs attached. I figured after your lackluster flag and road sign showings, you could do something, anything, to make me think we shouldn't annex you from the Union, but I think it's about time we fire up the excavators, start moving some earth, and sail your ass into the Atlantic Ocean. And yeah, you know what? Drift a little bit south first so you can knock Long Island off the continent too and do New York a big favor at the same time.
Look, Bobby, a license plate better than Connecticut's. Delaware can afford 2 colors instead of 1.
This is an appropriate plate for how unapologetically average the state of Delaware is. I would give this no second glance in a lineup and never once consider forming an opinion on it. If I were from Delaware, I would blush a bright shade of red anytime I went to a license plate comparison contest, because I know it's just a place for me to kill a few hours of time until I receive my inevitable participation award, and never anything more than that. Hey, that's a pretty good slogan you can steal from me, Delaware. Delaware, never anything more than that. I'll say it. I'll fucking say it. I'm probably a bit biased from the fact that I performed my ceremonial Floridian duties before recording this video of assaulting a homeless man because he stole my drugs, but I don't hate this. The color scheme is different from the boring blues and yellows and stands out without becoming obnoxious. The orange design looks like some potently suckable testicles, and the shameless tourism website link is designed in a way to not feel totally ham-fisted. Yeah, a handful of you are going to give me flack for not cracking down on the traditional, lazy template jammed with state symbols, but the presentation here feels like someone thought of visual appeal beyond just slapping promotional shit in there. I can't award anything above a C for this, but let's face it, we're looking at the best boilerplate option so far. And sometimes just being competent is all you need in a showcase because the competition is fucking awful. Except, that's what I wrote before I saw Georgia's license plate. Let's check it out. That's a pretty cozy plate, Georgia. And you know what? You're making me reevaluate Florida and look at my own biases because this is actually a much better way to flourish a fruit-based design. Although I'm docking points on this one in comparison because of the lack of succulent-looking testicles. You've shown me that maybe I'm giving my home state a bit too much credit on their half-assed effort, when I could have a lovely landscape to warm my eyes. If anything, I should be hanged from the gallows for even considering defending Florida. But let's give Georgia the clear victory and move on with our lives. What are you, gay? Which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. None of you watching thought there was a problem, did you? Maybe the fact I brought up testicle sucking in the previous two entries should give you an idea of my overtly sexual liberation. Regardless, I wouldn't have sex, or fuck with, as the kids say, this license plate. It's just missing anything. The rainbow here is super basic, bitch, and the rest of the plate doesn't have anything to it. At least when I cut Florida a break, they had green text and a few things to catch my eye. Hawaii just catches these hands if anyone tries to convince me this plate wasn't made in 5 minutes, tops. God damn, alright, yeah! Idaho finally hitting its redemption arc on this one. I fucking love this one. The scenic text is eye-catchy but not intrusive. The red, white, and blue color scheme cascades great, meshes very well with the graphics, and hits the patriotic notes, and they even reminded us of the potatoes at the bottom. Let's just give this thing the 10 it deserves. I'm giving it bonus points because everything else they've done with their state decor is pretty shit, and this is decidedly not shit. A rare standout performance from the masters of Spud. So let's let them have their week of celebration before they invariably fuck it up again. Sneaky Lincoln's gonna fucking cut ya. The outline of the Chicago skyline is pretty good, but I'm longing for more color creativity here. When Idaho used the American flag colors, they found a great gradient design to work with, but here you have generic blue background and tried a little bit with the white skyline, but then you hastily went, oh fuck, oh shit, we need red. The letters and numbers, make them red. We're patriotic, we swear. You're this close to being interesting, but it just feels like you wanted to play it too safe. Also, who told you that putting your state name in a font stolen from Microsoft Office Word art was a good idea? I'm a bit puzzled on this one. Luckily, I don't have to say anything here. When researching this plate, I found this fun Easter egg for the description on Wikipedia. I've not edited this or faked this in any way. This was really here when I found this. This is the current version of Indiana's license plate, featuring a covered bridge over a creek between two forests. One of the better Indiana plates after years of frankly crappy designs. Well, okay then. How about for this one we check out the old design? Oh! God, what the fuck? Oh, hey, cool, look at that. Iowa put a portrait of their favorite residents on the license plate. After all, about 90% of Iowa's land is dedicated to farming, and apparently no percentage of that land was dedicated to graphic designers because he kind of just ripped off Idaho and made it not as good. I'll admit it's on the higher end of the tier list, but it's also not something I'm wowed or impressed by. It's pleasant to look at, but inspiring? Fuck no. Ad astra per aspera is Latin for Kansas is so uncreative they recycle this design on absolutely everything they get their grubby little hands on. Even though it's not a puke factory like Delaware or a bland affair like Connecticut, I think I hate this one the most. Because it perfectly encapsulates the spirit of lazy state symbolism design. Kansas didn't think it was good enough to ruin their welcome signs and state flags with this over-designed state seal. They had to make sure you were reminded of this ugly graphic anytime you were caught behind one of the 7 people in Kansas who can legally operate a motor vehicle without running over an immigrant. Kentucky, were you hacked? This looks like someone snuck into your design department and published a rough draft as the final version. Why is Bluegrass State clumsily crammed up there at the top in a near unreadable font? Why is the outline of the state just here? Kentucky has tons of symbolism, from the idealistic horses of the Kentucky Derby to the realistic depiction of a fake colonel's pressure-cooked secret recipe. The best you could come up with is, it's Kentucky, so let's show Kentucky? I understand the blue gradient because it's connection to bluegrass, but this whole thing feels so mismatched for an allegedly wild state. If I had a loving family, this license plate would convince me Kentucky wasn't even worth stopping in for a bathroom break on our annual road trip to the in-laws. Take notes, California. You can have your state name at the top in action-packed cursive without giving up after that point. Louisiana's plate is super solid, except I can't help but feel the slogan "Sportsman's Paradise" is a desperate advertisement to help generate revenue to reclaim even more land from the sea. Allegedly, the slogan refers to Louisiana's great hunting and fishing opportunities thanks to an abundance of swamps, bayous, and wildlife. But to me, it just screams we had to pay the bills, so now here's Louisiana, proudly presented by the wonderful folks at Bass Pro Shops. It's pretty good. Vacation Land is a pretty lame moniker, but at least it's surrounded by an appealing design. You get a little tiny birdie, and a pine cone, and some green. Maine made sure they did just enough to not be considered awful. I'm not going to be handing this one any ribbons, but if I had to angrily glare at this when someone cuts me off in the drive-thru line to order the last lobster roll, at least it's a design more likely to calm me down than to make me start ramming their bumper all the way to Canada. There she is, the half-regurgitated spaghetti dinner, half-decoration of the Save the Bees coalition known as the Maryland flag. I can't say anything I didn't say in the state flag video here, since half the plate is literally the fucking state flag. So let's talk about the rest of the license plate. It fucking sucks. Maryland at the top is boring and the rest is nothing. Have I shamelessly promoted my state flag roasting video enough yet? Jesus Christ, Massachusetts. I didn't know that you were the most haunted state in America. I think I hear a ghost right now. Boo! 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 It was pretty fucking good. There's a lot of state symbols, great color palette, and look, it even has the spectacular peninsulas I've heard so much about. If only the roads in Michigan were even usable and not just thinly disguised pothole death traps for the 46% obesity rate population to get extra stuck in. Then I'd be able to drive anywhere in your state and appreciate this a lot more. Minnesota, you stupid fucking morons. You don't have 10,000 lakes. You have 11,842. This should be the land of people who can't count. I think Mississippi outsourced this one because there's no way all of their notoriously sub-90 IQ residents could have come up with something this good. A heavenly guitar on a license plate? That's amazing. It's just a damn shame the last noteworthy work from Mississippi's creative culture was, look how pretty the fires of downtown are after the local arsonist has his way with it. I'm genuinely impressed Mississippi avoided coming in last again the same way they do in life, but I suppose the people who survived Mississippi's favorite sport of baseball, except we use someone's head as the ball, have found that their skulls have grown back just a little bit stronger this time around. Good job actually doing something for once, Mississippi. Missouri, you've really got to stop this thing where you're trying to do whatever you can do to usurp Mississippi for the worst state in the Union. Uninspired America color scheme, state seal instead of a thoughtful design, celebrating the state's bicentennial with just the word bicentennial and the years. God, this fucking sucks. It's like they were handed an example booklet on starting points, copied a design from it, changed the word example to Missouri, and said, hot damn, now that's the Missouri way right there. Props to you guys for doing something inventive with the state outline, but now let's give you a score of negative 34,000 for doing absolutely nothing else. Slapping a buffalo skull in the middle of the numbers there isn't going to save your ass from the plague of non-design you went for here. Montana's lead designer probably got as far as contain everything within the state's outline and then suffered a massive aneurysm and died on the spot. And since going beyond that would mean someone from Montana had to apply critical thinking skills not related to castrating a steer year, the entire project was doomed. Nebraska, you're gonna be held back a grade, mister, because if you think this license plate is anything remarkable, you need to wait another year until you figure it the fuck out. Because apparently, starting in 2023, Nebraska's standard issue license plate is going to replace this boring piece of shit with this. Holy fucking shit, this is a badass license plate. But as of this video, there's still a couple months left of 2022 until next year rolls around when Nebraska officially adopts this as the standard license plate. Nebraska, I want you to stare at this video and feel far too emasculated by how much cooler future you is compared to how you are now. I'm getting a little tired of the state shape being slammed in the middle of the numbers with nothing interesting alongside it. At least when I complimented regional old person Sweat Factory Florida's design, they paired the state art with something, anything. But to Nevada's credit, they do save it a bit with the lovely mountain range and the real rootin' tootin' font for the state's name. That's the exact font you'd see at the beginning of a grungy, racist 70s cowboy movie. And in a way, I just described Nevada perfectly. Oh, okay. So I guess if I go to New Hampshire, I can piss on the Capitol building and walk through the nearby ice cream parlor butt fucking naked. What are you gonna do, arrest me? You can't, you dumb assholes. Your entire state identity is built around the idea of living free. So good luck trying to tell me I'm not living free so I can do whatever I want. I think when I'm 55, I'll head up to New Hampshire and begin stalking women at night and picking some out to turn into a new collection of skin-bound books. Good luck giving me the death penalty, because then you'd have to obey the law to do it. So which is it? Do I get to live free, or do you kill me because I'm living free? And to do so, you would have to implement laws that prevent me from living free. Nice catch 22, idiots. License plate's pretty good. Good work. All right, I got it. We take the default design, you know? Plain state shape in the middle, slogan at the bottom. Except to show people what New Jersey's all about, we really make our gradient piss yellow. I want people to know what Jersey smells and tastes like 24/7 before they even have to step foot in our borders. I kind of dropped the ball on this one, in my opinion. This feels like a bad mashup of the state welcome sign and state flag, which were mediocre and amazing, respectively. You're so close to getting something right, but it just feels off. The Zia's sun is a wonderfully meaningful symbol, but the proportions here make it look wonky. The bold yellows of the flag here don't work the same with the busyness of a license plate design. And the patterns at the top just look tackily out of place, is how I'd say it. Nothing about this plate is bad, it just doesn't feel like any of it works together. You had a lot of great pieces from your unique cultural influences in previous designs, but you kind of just threw it on here with no rhyme or reason and called it a day. For example, here's the current issue specialty plate commemorating the state's centennial, and it looks way, way, way better. Honestly, just make this thing the official plate and you're golden. Apparently, this design was selected from a statewide survey in 2019, which once again proves New Yorkers think they know much more than they actually do. You guys really chose the most standard recycled design and jerked off over how good it looks because you added some New York icons to the bottom and called it a day, didn't you? Well, I'm here to tell you this is a pretty inaccurate plate. The city skyline and the Statue of Liberty are a good start to represent New York, but remove all the wilderness crap and replace it with an overly angry man getting in a trash fight with a Midwesterner over hot dog toppings, while he's actively freezing to death because his six-figure salary doesn't even cover all of his rent. That's New York. Okay, for this next one, we're going to lump North Carolina and Ohio together, which normally would work out fine, but North Dakota's in the way. Don't worry, I'm not skipping North Dakota. There's a really specific reason I'm lumping these two together and starting with Ohio. North Carolina and Ohio tend to get in some strong bitch fits over the Wright brothers, you know, the guys who invented the airplane. The Wright brothers were born in and created the first airplane in Ohio, but the first actual flight took place in North Carolina. Ohio wanted everyone to know their significance in the world of aviation, so they unveiled this as their current standard license plate. It's the birthplace of aviation, as well as the birthplace of stupid mistakes. The plane's flying backwards. The Wright Flyer's design is mirrored compared to a modern airplane, so the banner in this case would be getting pushed instead of pulled, so this entire picture based on physics and wind direction makes no fucking sense. Ohio corrected their mistake within the same day they had unveiled the license plate design, but by then about 35,000 had already been printed and had to be confiscated and recycled. And here's where North Carolina's Department of Transportation comes in with this banger tweet. Y'all leave Ohio alone. They wouldn't know. They weren't there. And for that reason alone, I'm giving North Carolina a perfect score, because they not only get all of their own points, but all of the points I would have given to Ohio as well. Congrats on getting burned so hard you flunked out of the competition, Ohio. Shit, okay, North Dakota, I get it. You wanted to make sure you weren't skipped, so you brought your A game. Look at this totally judgmental buffalo. Absolutely criticizing you down to your soul for taking a day off from your cardio routine. Color work here is really fucking good, and the top font looks like it's ready to kick my ass, and the wheat on the side works with everything. I'd just be a bit more careful with the Peace Garden State slogan. It's awful close to New Jersey's, and being mistaken for them is a sentence worse than death. Oklahoma, for the last fucking time, I'm not gonna follow you on Twitter, so get this shit out of my face. Well, hot damn. Oregon might just be the comeback king. Albeit that's a title they're gonna have to take from California because they have San Francisco. I've got no real complaints here except for the formatting's a little awkward, but it's nothing too terrible. In the last two contests, you were the masters of smattering diarrhea on my screen, but now all I see is a license plate that I will never see again in the city of Portland because I'll be too distracted by all the sun-faded "Not My President" and "Coexist" bumper stickers. Huh? What? Oh, fuck, I just had the most horrible dream. I dreamt that Pennsylvania was so inept that they based their license plate on the old Visa card logo. Yeah, sure. It's a bit bland, but it's fine. It's appealing, actually. I like both the Ocean State slogan and the tiny little anchor to desperately remind people that you're a seafaring state. Because you're well aware the only thing currently stopping Massachusetts from invading is they'd have to drop their self-obsessed worldview long enough to look at their borders. And you're going to need to be able to construct some oil rigs to live on fast when the time comes to surrender your pitiful landmass. While I breathe, I hope. Wow. What a great slogan for your 40-year-old mom's book club to get me through the day. You go, girl. This is the perfect license plate for me to longingly gaze at while I wait for my kids to pile into the SUV after soccer practice, because I've got to rush them over to my friend Janine's house for a play date so I can get home in time to have my asshole pounded by Denzel from down the street before my husband gets home. He's not that much more attractive than my husband, but he just knows how to pleasure me and consider my needs, you know? Oh, and the license plate's pretty boring. Fucking pathetic. That carved granite tribute to men of substance is such a fine example of your hollow existence, South Dakota. That monument is the only thing you've ever been and ever will be known for in modern history. The men it represents accomplished great things, pushed themselves forward, and didn't just sit around masturbating to a single standout achievement. You could take the individual biographies of any president on that hill, and they would contain more interesting fragments than the entirety of all of South Dakota's 17,000 years of existence ever since it was first settled by native people. You're not trying anymore. And worst of all, you're boring everyone. Everyone is sick of Mount Rushmore. Let me know when you bulldoze it and install a Six Flags. The only 10 I see here is the amount of times I want to slap whoever made this design. 0 out of 10. Show the design they replaced in 2012 with this piece of shit. You know what? Show the design before this one, too. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ, Texas. Jesus. You are seriously blind. Or eat rocks for breakfast, or hit your head on a rock too hard, or had rocks for parents, or... Good God, I want to strangle every government official that you have ever had for this. This is such a fucking downgrade, and it sucks so bad. Allegedly, it's a high visibility plate for better readability, but I can't believe you've had this design for over 10 years and haven't gotten tired of it. This is so bland, so uninspired, so fucking boring. I'm revoking all the points you have earned in previous contests. Every single one. This decade-spanning snooze fest has just put Texas firmly in last place. The Lone Star State can be the star of a go fuck yourself show on the bottom of the scoreboard now. Get the fuck out of my video. Utah, why are you so fucking bipolar? You absolutely demolished the welcome sign contest, then make easily the worst flag on the planet, and now here we are with a great license plate. It's exhausting trying to decide if I love or hate you, Utah, so let's just do what everyone does when one of your many Mormons comes to the door. Pretend I didn't notice you and refuse to answer it until you go away. You guys know that colors besides green exist, right? Being the Green Mountain State doesn't mean you have to be all green all the time. I don't think I feel comfortable hanging out with a state that's so up its own ass about putting on appearances that it can't let its hair down and enjoy a shade of red or some highlights every now and then. Doubly ironic that both your name is Virginia and your slogan is Virginia is for lovers, because absolutely no one is gonna want to fuck you if they see you with this boner-killing license plate. Sure, I guess. But let's flash back to the 90s and check out the plates from back then. You'll notice the only real difference is the wacky font you guys used to use for Washington. Why'd you change it? This makes me feel like the license plate's trying to start its own game show. I guess Washington just hates fun and the only game it wants to play is, what's the bare minimum we can do to have a not shitty license plate? Wild and Wonderful should be replaced with Mild and Blunderful. I didn't expect much from not even real Virginia, but this plate looks more like a movie prop than an actual government identification tool. Get your shit together, West Virginia, and design something worthwhile if you're going to try to convince everyone you're an actual state. After all, regular Virginia spans further west than West Virginia. Seriously, look it up. You guys are good at nothing. It's a shame you segmented all the interesting stuff to the top. Because at that resolution, it looks like a cheap auto-filled in clip art. You're called America's Dairyland. Get crazy. Show some giant lactating titties or sprinkle cheese curds all over the fucking thing. I understand your estate's so nice that if I rear-end someone, they'd immediately get out and apologize to me, but grow a fucking spine and let your decorations run wild for once. Ah, Wyoming. Don't you just love how poetic it is that they're last? Super quick history lesson for anyone out of the loop. I made a video insulting Wyoming from top to bottom because no one lives there, so it's perfectly fine to do so. In the state welcome sign video, they knocked it the fuck out of the park with an incredible first place entry. In the state flag video, they fell somewhere in the middle, mostly by virtue that the vast majority of state flags are fucking terrible. I've had my ups, downs, and ups again with Wyoming. And I can't think of anything more poignant than having them wrap up the state roasting trilogy with their most likely Wild West inspired entry. I'm gonna get out of the way for this one. Let's do it. Show us what you got, Wyoming. Good, but it's good, but hang on. Let's just take this, do a little of that. Yep. Then we take that one. No, fuck it. Come on. There we go. Move this here, move that there, move that there. There. Now it's perfect. It's still the best one there is, though. Well done, Wyoming. Well done.